Catching Up on the Drift, Part 4, The Usurers. Usury is not a principle or an ideology. It is simply a crime. It is a form of slavery, and all forms of slavery are a crime against humanity. The usurers stroke bankers have managed to get away with their crimes by shrouding their activities behind a veil of mystery and political rhetoric that feeds on people's base fears and judgments, which in turn are established through centuries of traditional beliefs, and which by today are known to have no foundation in fact, i.e. royalty has special blood, the rich are blessed by God, dark-skinned people are inferior to white-skinned people, women are born to be subservient to males, and children are a minor, unimportant human being. Now, the antiquated judgments equate to all black people are criminals, all poor people are inferior, all rich people are special, Muslims and immigrants are a terrorist and economic threat, any problems related to children are a minor concern. The real threat, of course, is that age-old battle between good and evil, except good doesn't pick fights. It is evil who imposes an insane will on good, who then is angered to defend and fight back. Over time, the original cause of battle is lost as humanity is divided ever further and issues are twisted, compressed and confused, and every problem isolated from another. A legacy of psychological gloom is bequeathed from one generation to the next, along with all its lies, institutions and loot. In a social climate of doom and gloom, human psychology is thus conditioned to seek happiness in a world which informs us that happiness can be bought from a shop or by doing a particular job. No money equates to no happiness, and any happiness not paid for with money is not socially recognised as true happiness. It is judged as an inferior or fake happiness. The usurers claim that poverty is a choice, or else people are poor because they're losers or they're stupid. That the majority of poor can still smile, express joy and do good in their poverty, or even paint a picture, write and sing a song of love, is to the usurers another product to earn profits from. Any talented poor who somehow achieve popularity or success will be quickly plucked from their poverty and placed on a public pedestal where they will endure social estrangement in exclusivity of the usurers' worlds, coupled with continual media scrutiny. Not surprisingly, many of the claimed, be they from middle class or poor origins, find the pressures of fame and fortune too great and resort to self-harm. The usurers also claim that in particular the male youth of the poor are all potential and known criminals who need a heavy police presence in their communities. It doesn't take long for innocents and juveniles to be falsely convicted of crime and receive longer sentences when jails are run for a profit and cops get credits towards promotion for every successful prosecution. It doesn't take long for many among the persecuted to be driven into committing the crimes they were originally falsely accused of. Driving otherwise sane psychology's crazy through crime and ignorance, persecution and false judgment is what the usurer spirit does over decades and centuries. A Palestinian paramedic is persuaded to become a suicide bomber. A Persian of Jewish descent is persuaded to become a Zionist. An Iraqi Muslim is persuaded to join ISIS. The victims creating more victims, while the real enemy is controlling and profiting from all sides of every war. Regardless of its physical weapons, the usurer spirit can never win in a battle of intellect. Universal intelligence will always prove the usurer wrong, not by attack, but only because universal intelligence is naturally right, and therefore the usurer spirit is unnaturally wrong, because that spirit, stroke thought, is damaged and maligned, and as a result attempts to live by a dishonest perception of reality. The more power that dishonest perspective has in life, so all the more life will be harvested towards satisfying the demands of its fiction. Usury as a concept and foundation for intelligent life equates to a series of thoughts. Human thoughts are created in the brain by electrical energy. Electrons and photons, quantum light particles, literally transmit words, images, ideas, beliefs, dreams, opinions, judgments and fantasies throughout our mind, and from there are expressed in our reality in the material world. Most thoughts arise from emotions we experience within our heart. Feelings are translated into a perspective, an understanding, a belief, an opinion. When those thoughts carry emotional pain, our body sends fluids to the consciously felt injury, which, being housed in our head, leaks out as tears from our eyes. Usurers rarely have feelings for any beyond themselves. An exhibition of emotional pain in a male was for centuries considered a sign of weakness. Naturally, usurers are keen to brutalise the male as the ox of their captive humanity. It is easy for those with wealth and power to misdirect a human thought and emotion. Tell someone a lie. Tell him his mother is stupid, weak and inferior. Tell him his children are born in original sin and doomed to hell. Tell him there is no God really, only a devil. Tell him his natural healers are witches working for demons. Tell him those witches have powers to destroy crops, steal property and wealth, inflict sickness, disease and infertility. Tell him they can fly in the air and cast fire onto earth and then even control the weather. Tell him evil controls the world until God returns to judge and destroy everything and everyone. Tell him if he accepts all of these things and helps to persecute witches, he can have his chances to become a leader in the competitions and reap his rewards in material gold, a reflection of his individual divinity as a natural VIP. It does not matter that the majority of males do not believe such nonsense. It only matters that the most powerful and richest men are prepared to invest in the popularised beliefs. In reality, what the witch hunters knew was that every community contained the shaman, shining ones of universal intelligence, and they were a natural and unwitting intellectual threat against the established orders who had maliciously and knowingly usurped the message of Jesus to use as a weapon against humanity for sake of holding on to their criminal consciousness and all its gifts of wealth and power to a minority, self-appointed nobility. The shamans, shining ones, are never self-appointed. They are nature's chosen conduits for delivering universal intelligence to humanity. Their naturally heightened talents and skills of perception and understanding are most often revealed in childhood. Money and education cannot buy or create a shining one, and though they are recognised as special, shining ones do not harbour feelings of superiority. They have no ego. Their sense of self fundamentally relies on upholding truth and righteousness, law and compassion. They bring hope, deliverance and strength to every community they assist. Shining ones are the naturally revered servants of life, and their thoughts are devoted to addressing the problems related to all of life's needs. The usurers have established an education system which largely marks against true intelligence in favour of rewarding the most competent parrots. Shining ones are mostly discarded and replaced with the usurer-trusted educated professionals of scientists and bishops, etc. People whose natural vocation is to be a teacher or a healer are working in a shop or driving a bus, while people who are most suited to driving a bus are teaching. Natural human vocation is lost to ambition amid the scramble for earning a competitive wage and associated social status. They say if you tell a lie long enough, it will be thoroughly believed to the extent that lies become a reality. It was not the shining ones, though, who threatened to make real all of those historical suspicions against them. It was instead their accusers, those who feared the shining ones and their natural allegiance to universal law, which ironically, by its very nature, prohibits all the crimes once feared as a terrorist threat from those labelled a witch. The lessons of history teach us a more accurate perspective on our present time, and present time as a progression from that history casts new lights on past events as new knowledge and more evidence comes to light. It is very clear that only because our shining ones were crushed and misjudged, the real demonic spirits have been free to continue in their crimes as glorified winners of their own competitions. The competitive usurers now have all the powers they once claimed the witches had, and therefore it is paranoid fear and its cruelties that were and remain the real terrorist threat. The lawless and sadistic spirits have always been among us, and our history shows us that in every generation their thoughts have predominated and were afforded most attention and investments from life. Jesus did not arrive to fight against flesh and blood, but spiritual malignancies in high and low places. Thoughts are a living energy, and all life energies strive to survive. Thoughts that are established on truth and aligned with universal law will naturally cancel out thoughts established on lies. Instinctively, lying thoughts will conspire and seek to obliterate truthful thoughts by creating more lies that commonly feed on humanity's most negative emotions of fear, pain, mistrust, jealousy, slavery. Unhealthy, exaggerated fear is paranoia. Paranoid thoughts are now known to actually deliver into reality a magnification of the very horrors the paranoia had claimed would be delivered by those judged as enemy. This is why we presently live under a mushroom cloud threat of nuclear power.